Mustard Ketchup Mayo 1000. We're back. As per usual, we're going to be covering last video, or I guess last UFC main events, picks and predictions. I did okay. Nothing crazy. Just the usual. 7 out of 11. I'll take that. But let's start with the beginning. So it was Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit. I had Ty Miller decision. I was kind of surprised by this one. I didn't expect Ty Miller to really get the finish, but to be fair, I think that's just from what I've started realizing is that just Fugit is just old now, man. Fugit is old. Sad to see. But yeah, Fugit's just not there anymore. But yeah, next fight was Josh Hooker versus Denzel Freeman. This was basically what I predicted. I'm not surprised at all by this. Yeah, I mean, I basically predicted this entirely, so not surprised. Okay, so I'm just gonna chime in real quick. I forgot to do something for this fight. It was Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. It went almost like what I expected. I remember mentioning in the previous video that I believe that Alex Perez had a good chance of upsetting Charles Johnson, and in retrospect, it was very obvious. I don't know why I chose Charles Johnson, but you know, sometimes you tend to do what you don't expect. But yeah, that's what I had. Now back to the regular schedule programming. This one I was surprised by. Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas. Bukauskas looked like shit, like actual shit. He didn't even look like he wanted to be there. It's like he fought, and he fought, and he fought, but then he was like, you know what? I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done. I don't want to. I don't know. He was throwing and was not landing a single fucking strike. And I was like, oh my god, you're making Nikita Krylov look amazing. And don't get me wrong, Krylov is good, but man, like Krylov was struggling these past two bouts, but this one, he looked amazing. I don't know. Surprising. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, next one was Tiba Gutierrez versus Andre Puliev. Exactly what I predicted. Yeah, exactly what I predicted. I had KO round 1 or KO round 3, so not exactly what I predicted, but I predicted that how the fight ended up happening is exactly what I had expected. Ateba just struggles with anybody who can take a punch, or not necessarily struggle because he wasn't doing anything bad, but he just cannot do much to somebody who can take a punch from him. And you know what? That happens. There's nothing crazy about that, but it happens. So yeah, Buliev looked good though. Next fight, Umar versus Figgy. Kind of what I expected. Umar decision. He's still super boring. Yeah. John versus Arnold Allen. John did pretty good. Was not disappointed with John. He did pretty good. Arnold Allen did really good too. Nothing to beat up. Nothing to beat themselves up about. Like they had good performances both ways. So yeah. Next fight, Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Natalia Silva won. From my understanding, some people were saying Rose should have won. I had Natalia Silva because Natalia Silva is just better overall. But I don't know. Some people didn't have the same idea. So, next fight, Waldo versus Derek Lewis. I had Waldo, and it went exactly how I expected. I had him by decision. Yeah, I had him by decision. But I forgot that Derek Lewis tends to just give up, and just because he gave up, he won the round. He gave him a KO, round 2. So. Yeah, this was an easy Waldo win. Wasn't surprised at all by this. Next fight was Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Song was robbed. Repeat it after me. Song was robbed. Sean is not good, man. Sean is not good. This just proves to me how bad he is as a fighter. So yeah. Whoever Sean fights next, I think he's gonna lose significantly. So, yeah. Anyways, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Well, just another thing to note. All of these were the main card. I was expecting the only dog to hit was gonna be Song. Usually there's more dogs, it's not just Song, but or just one. But I was expecting Song from all of these to be the dog. Ends up being Gaethje. I don't I don't know. This is kind of weird. I had Patty. I like Patty, but I don't know the implications of Justin Gaethje winning or how the. It doesn't really make the. How do I say it? It doesn't really make the what is the word? It doesn't make what is the word? It doesn't make the division move. That's what it is. It doesn't make the division move, and I mean, sometimes that's okay, I guess. But it doesn't really show me, or I guess it shows how elite Gaethje, Dustin, and Charles, and who else was there? Was it just them three? I think it was just them three. But yeah, it just shows how dominant they are, and you know, I'm glad they're dominant. You know, but sometimes you just want fresh champions, new blood, and I guess Ilya was there for that, but no, I guess not. But yeah, we're gonna cover UFC 325 now. It's in Australia. Always the Australian cards that are kind of boring, but this one seems kind of good, and in red compared to 325. 325 ended up being, or 324, sorry. 324 ended up being a pretty good card, but let's see if 325 can do better. But we're starting off with Namsarai Batsbayer versus Aaron Tao. I'm taking Aaron Tao by decision. When I'm looking at both of these fighters, well, obviously, first of all, this is like Road to UFC championship. It's the first four fights are going to be Road to UFC championships. So don't be surprised by any of these if you don't really know these names. But Aaron Tao, I do recognize because he fought on the Dana White Contender Series against Elijah Smith. But he kind of showed to me that he's not a slouch, and he doesn't give up easy, and he's really, really good. And Elijah Smith is also very good, as we've seen so far in his career. But when you look at Batsbayer, he is a very heavy grappler, and he's very deadly on the ground. But you have to really take into consideration his level of competition. When you look at Aaron Tao, he has fought a lot. I think, in my opinion, has fought better competition. The only thing I'm kind of worried about for him would be more of his reach advantages. He is shorter by 2 inches, and his reach is shorter by 2 inches as well. But he has a lot better training partners from City Kickboxing, and I think this might be a City Kickboxing card, as in the most of the City Kickboxing guys will end up winning. But the only thing I'm worried about with that is City Kickboxing is not known for their ground game, and just because of that, his ground game has not been tested, and I think Batsbayer might take advantage of that. But we will see. I do expect Tao to win, however, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Tao by decision. Next fight, Sulangrangbo versus Lawrence Liu. This is an interesting fight, but I'm taking Lawrence Liu by decision. I'm taking Liu primarily just because of age, experience, and better competition from his from the previous org, and also he's a CKB guy. Sulangrangbo doesn't look like he is terrible, but he doesn't seem to really prove me much. And when you're looking at his previous competition and promotions, and more in the Road to UFC, it proves a little bit better, but not entirely, because if you're looking at his best win being Sim Kai Jung, this was on the road to UFC, but it was by decision, knowing that he was on a good KO streak. It doesn't really tell me much. On the other hand, when you're looking at Lawrence Liu, he seems to be very calculated, very good, a very CKB style esque, but yeah, I think he just has better comp, and he genuinely looks a lot more dangerous when you compare him to Sulangrangbo. But yeah, he has a lot of time to improve at 20, since he's only 20. But I don't think he's going up against. But I don't think him going up against the CKB guys will go great for most up and comers. So can't really blame him. But don't count him out. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't count him out. But I do think Lawrence Liu is gonna win by decision. Next fight, Sebastian Sazale versus Kachiro Nakamura. I'm taking Nakamura by decision. He has crazy power. I cannot lie. I've seen him. I've seen him fight. I've seen Nakamura's last fight. He has crazy power. Um, when when you take into consideration his power and his fist, and just like being able to like actually have KO power in most competitions, that's gonna take you a long way. And I think that will translate over pretty well when you take into consideration Cizale. The only reason I don't pick him is just because, like, okay, yes, Cizale is very scary too, but stylistically, I think Nakamura looks more flowy, but also very plotty, which can make a big presence in the cage. Looks like it feels like it sounds like I'm pulling at strings, but like, no, trust me, like, I mean, sometimes I do take things into consideration, just like presence over like style and stuff. Like Alia is a good example, kind of, not really, I don't know. But I do see why Cizale is picked as the favorite from most likely off of Tapology, just because of his level of competition. He's fought like he's fought at Eternal, which is where I also was basing off Lawrence Lu's wins and why I thought he was good. But I'm still not counting out um, Nakamura. I think he actually does pretty well in this fight, a lot better than most people think. So I'm taking him by decision. Even though I kept saying that he has KO power at Tails, I still think by decision will probably be his best bet for winning. Next fight is Dom Mar Fan versus Sang Uk Kim. If you're looking at this guy, if you look at Dom Mar Fan, this dude looks fucking scary, man. I don't know about you, but he looks scary. Um, and he's also fought in Eternal, so that doesn't help. Doesn't help much for him. I guess for his opponent, but he fought Cell Killed, which is, you know, interesting, and just shows like his level of comp and the level of comp of Eternal, and that's why I take Eternal pretty seriously when I'm deciding if a fighter's gonna be good in the UFC or not. But if you're looking at Uk Kim, his competition is not that greatest, man. It's not the greatest. His road to UFC wins are decent, but like outside of that, man, it's not looking too good, man. But Kim previously fought but lost in the road to UFC, which is also not a good look for him, and he's also getting up there in age. So I'm gonna take Marfan. He looks more promising, looks scarier. I'm taking him, man. I'm taking him by decision, but I would not be surprised if he finishes him. Alright, so that's all the road to UFC fights. Thankfully, we're gone and do all that. We made it out the trenches from that one. But yeah, so we're gonna start off with Ken Offley versus Yiza. Taking Yiza by decision. I like Ken Offley. He has a really good story, but sometimes the stories just aren't enough, man. But this is like an interesting matchup since whoever loses shows who's really ass and who's like okay. Because if you're looking at this, I can definitely see Yiza winning, but I can't count out Offley just because if we're looking at the record, man. Yiza, well, he looks good because he went the distance with Gabriel Santos. He also KO'd Weston Wilson, but like anybody who trains should be able to KO Weston Wilson. Respectfully, nothing wrong with Weston Wilson, but he is probably like the lowest of competition in the UFC, especially at featherweight. But Offley tends to be very skittish, and I feel after that Mario Santos fight that he had, that he got KO'd by, he has changed his style a lot. At least that's what I've seen. And I can definitely see just like Offley just being very like shy and just getting outdone by Yiza. So I'm taking Yiza by decision. I really hope Offley does decent though. I really hope he goes out there and actually shows that he's somebody in this organization. Hopefully. But yeah. Next fight, Jonathan McAuliffe versus Oban Elliott. A very, very interesting and good matchup. I really like this fight. I really wish this fight didn't happen so early on in their careers, but still a good fight. But it's gonna come down to who really wants it more, because McAuliffe, he's the up and comer, he still has a lot to prove. Oban Elliott, similar idea, but he's had way more fights. At least 3 more fights to prove that he's a lot better. And why I'm taking McAuliffe is just because like he's one of the best up and comers at the welterweight for like for sure one. But like also when you're looking at Elliott's like previous losses or I guess his record, Elliott was blazing through these like three. He blazed through Val Woodburn, Preston Parsons, Basil Hafez. But if you're looking at it in retrospect, none of them were really good. I mean, maybe people said Basil Hafez was good because like he went far with JDM, but that dude was blasting like roids out his ass. So I mean, obviously, if you come in short notice with the roids, I mean, look at the Jacob, what's that guy's name? The Leo guy, Carlos Leo. That guy's fucking blasting roids, and he got sit down by that old man. So the Muslim guy, Muslim Salikov. Nah, that doesn't sound right. That old guy, the old Muslim guy, I forgot his name. The Russian, but his name's Muslim. Yeah, quick tangent. But yeah, he got caught by Seok Hyun Ko, but Seok Hyun Kyo actually looked really good in Dana White Contender Series, and he showed levels. I just didn't expect him to beat Oban Elliott as a debut, which was crazy. But I mean, that kind of just shows how good Oban Elliott is. So is he really good, or is he, we'll see. We'll see. This fight will definitely show that. But I think reach will play a big part of this fight. Having seen like McAuliffe beat Kevin Josette, I do not expect him to play his guard down against a plotty striker like Oban. Like Oban's pretty plotty. But I think McAuliffe is going to do pretty well, in my opinion. But we'll see how far that goes. I'm taking him by decision. I could definitely see someone getting knocked out, though. Not putting that past anybody in this fight. The best fight on the card is up next. Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney. I'm taking Torres Finney by decision easily. This is probably the easiest fight. I don't care what these odds are telling you, slight underdog. Don't tell me that. Do not tell me that, because I do not want to put money on this fight. But this is so free. Oh, Torres Finney is a free. I think this is probably the easiest money you can make, in my opinion. Because, look, obviously, first off, we can start off with Jacob Malkoun KO'd Petrosky from his hip. I don't know what else to say. But if you're looking at his losses, obviously Cody Brendan. Okay, this one doesn't really count, but Cody Brendan's disqualification. His wins are just against nobody. AJ Thompson isn't even in the UFC anymore. Nick Maximov is not even in the UFC anymore. Petrosky is, and he looks okay still, but okay. Cody Brendan's just dog. He's dog. He's dog, man. Brendan Allen is his only decent. Is the only decent fighter he's fought, and he like got demolished by him. And I feel like, call me crazy, Torres Finney is like Brendan Allen light. He's Brendan Allen light. He's a light version of Brendan Allen in some way, shape, or form. Or I guess, like, not necessarily, but stylistically a little bit, yes. If you stretch your imagination a little bit. But I don't understand like the Finney hate entirely, outside of him being boring. I know this is kind of a tangent, but I know people say he's boring, but dude, like, he knows how to get down, man. Like, he will take you down. He needs to get some punches in. He definitely needs to work on the striking, but he's gonna get you in there, and he's gonna finish you. Hopefully, or we hope. We really hope that. But yeah, I'm taking Torres Finney, easily by decision. He's super grindy, and him not being that much smaller than Malkoun just tells me more than anything that he's gonna win. So, easy win from Torres Finney. Next fight. Cam Ralston versus Cody Brundage. We know how this fight's gonna end. Very easily. Ralston will be super slick and KO Brundage with the head kick KO in round 1. Easily. Excuse me. Easily. This is probably more. I don't know about easier. Or no. This is definitely easier than the Torres Finney fight. Cam Roston's easily winning this. I don't think there's any I don't think Brandage has a single chance of winning this. Like maybe his grappling, I think, but I doubt Cam is gonna let him get that close to him. And if he does, he's gonna just get in the pocket and just like put the beats on him. Very fast finish will happen. Either that or Cody Brandage is gonna get hit in the back of the head again or something. I don't know. But Cam Roston is definitely winning that. There's no doubt about that. I'm moving on. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to say. Junior Tafa versus Billy Elikena. Taking Elikena round 1 submission. Yeah, this is definitely the end of the line for Tafa, man. Sadly, this is kind of sad. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like the Tafa bros. They're like the guys. I don't know how to explain it. I like them just because of how familiar they are. Yes, they're not good, but at least they're familiar faces, you know. But yeah, they're definitely taking Billy Elikena by submission round 1. This one, I think this little stretch of fights, Finney, Brundage, Roston, Tafa, Elikena, and then the next one we'll talk about, it's probably going to be the easiest parlay, if you want to say, you can make. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor, or I guess a gambling advisor. I guess in that sense. If you want me to, though, you can let me know. I'll make videos about that. But Junior Tafa versus Billy Elikena is just gonna be straightforward. It's what we're all expecting. It's what we're all expecting. Like, don't expect his ground game to have gotten any better. But he could catch Billy with something, but I really doubt it, man. Billy, he goes in there and he knows what he's doing. But yeah, I expect a fast finished, or it's gonna be a really long ground game, wrestle fest, where Billy's just trying to get like a sub off on Tafa, and Tafa's not giving in. But I mean, you can also expect Tafa to just randomly give up. That usually happens also. So we're taking Elikena by submission round 1 easily. And then the next fight, the one that we all know is gonna happen, or I guess we all know how it will end, is Quinlan Salkills versus JB Malarkey. Paramount is gonna be broadcasting a murder, sadly. It's not much that Malarkey can do. I don't even expect him to survive a full round, sadly. But I do hope Salkill can use this as a sparring wrestling display so we can see how well his ground game has gone in. Sometimes, or I mean, you really just want to see something else from him. I know his KOs are good, but, you know, I want to see how he does on the ground. But yeah, it's either way, it's going to be a fast finish, man. I feel bad for Malarkey, man. He's just a punching bag. He really is just a punching bag, man. I feel bad. But yeah, we're taking Quinlan Salkills by KO round 1. Nothing much else to say, sadly. Next fight, Tai Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira. This is 100% the end of Tai, sadly, man. Like, this dude is not getting past Taliesin. Either it has to be a mentality change, dude, because I don't know, Taliesin is just way too rangy and offensive for Tai. Like, he goes in fast, he goes in and he gets the finish. Tai does have the experience, I'll give him that, but he could catch Taliesin off guard, but if he does not end it quick. But knowing how they both fight, I think they're both gonna go, or at least how Taliesin fights, he's gonna go in there pretty quick, and I think he's gonna like overwhelm him and just catch him and finish him, man. But yeah, it's gonna be a good tubby battle to see where both fighters are at in their careers. But I feel like we all know where he's at. Both of them are at in their careers after this fight, regardless of who wins. I guess no, if Tai wins, then yeah, it's completely different. But we'll see. Next fight, Fidea versus Mauricio Rufy. Very good fight. There's good ranking implications on the line. Obviously, we need to see Rufy back in the, or at least I want to see Rufy back in the top 15. But I think he's winning by decision. When you look at Rufy, you gotta really take into consideration like how he's like changing. 'Cause like he started training with Volk, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I believe he started training with Volk. So we can see something new come from him, and something else form, and a new like arsenal form. Cause man, he tends to be very stiff. I can't lie. His style is very stiff. I know he's like people say it's the Brazilian Connor, and like don't say that. This shit's so corny, man. Please stop saying that. Please stop saying that stuff. It's so corny. But Rufy does is pretty good. Like I think his striking is very slick, very precise. He's like a sniper. But Fiziev could definitely like still win this fight. However, but like do not be surprised if he were to pull an upset. And I know the odds on here on Tapology say that Fiziev is the favorite, but on the sports books that I've been looking at, he's currently the underdog. So that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, overall it's gonna be a good striking match. I don't think anybody is gonna get KO'd, unless Rufy catches Fiziev with the kick, because we know his kicks are pretty decent. But Fiziev is a tough cookie, man. So I don't really expect anything crazy from this. But I do expect Rufy to win. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Rufy decision. Next fight, Dan Hooker versus BSD or Benoit Saint Denis. Super easy, favorable matchup. Super favorable matchup for BSD. Excuse me. This is basically just Armin versus Hooker rematch, essentially, since Hooker would not have figured out his ground game that fast. I mean, like, let's keep it a buck. We're looking at Hooker, who just fought 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago. He's gonna fight against BSD. BSD, obviously looked really good against Maurice. I mean, we can't even count the Benio fight. The fight was only like a couple of seconds long. But when we were looking at Rufy, like he looked really good ground game wise. Yes, he was looking a little weird on the feet, but ground game wise, he still looked good. Knowing that, I'm taking Benoit submission round 2. But I do still worry about like BSD's stance and how plotty he is. Like that plottiness does not work for him, like striking wise. And I mean I've seen him. Not just I have all seen him struggle with striking defense, dude. His striking defense is terrible. I really hope he's worked on that a lot. I mean, maybe he has. I know he moved gyms, so I think he probably did. But this fight is a lot closer than the odds make it seem, so not be surprised if BSD gets KO'd. I'm not gonna lie, because like if we're going off of the Mateus Gamrot fight, I think Gamrot beat Dan Hooker, by the way. But if we're looking off of that, like he can catch people who go in for takedowns. So I will say he's decent on that end, but he just once he's on the ground, it's like he's a dead fish out of water, man. He can't do much about that. But I'm taking BSD submission round 2. Next fight and last fight of the night, title fight for the featherweight belt. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2. This fight should not have happened. I hate that this fight even happened. I really hate that this fight even happened. But I'm taking Volk decision. This is just gonna be a repeat of the last fight. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be changing crazy. It'll be any different. I'm not gonna lie. Diego just gets way too frustrated when he's fighting, and that I don't believe that he can get the title just because of that. And I know the John Silva fight makes him look good, but John Silva also just taunted for no reason. So many times. And he didn't even he needs John locked in thankfully against Arnold Allen, but against Diego he clearly didn't. And I feel like, call me crazy, man, but I think Volk would realistically only lose to like John or some other guys in the top 15, like maybe Kevin Vallejos, but not Diego, man. It sucks to say because I like Diego, I really like him, but I just don't think his style is good enough to beat Volk. It just is not there. It's not there. It's just there's just something about Volk, yeah, and Diego's just not able to do anything about it, man. I don't think anything changes. I don't really think it changes, man. Volk is just too good at dismantling him. Well, we'll see. But I'm still taking Volk decision, and I'm gonna be riding with that. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is I definitely do need one underdog. There's definitely one underdog I need in the main card, and there's only maybe one I could think of, and that's maybe Fiziev, because Fiziev is the underdog right now. But the more I think about it, Rufy will win, just because of the height advantage as well, height and reach advantage. But let me think. Quinlan's easily winning that. Maybe Ty. If it's not Roofy, it's gotta be yeah. If it's not Fizzy, if it's gotta be Dan Hooker, and if it's not either of those two, then it's gonna end up being Diego. But we'll see. We will see this. We will see how this ends up going. But yeah, that's everything that I have. That's everything I have. That's all for UFC 225. Thank you for watching. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. There's something weird about the main event or the main card. I just can't put my finger on who's gonna be the upset, but that's what I have. Maybe I'll change my picks. Who knows? Um, but if that's the case, you can always check my picks, my most up-to-date picks on Tapology. I usually don't pick flip, but sometimes I do. But yeah, thank you for watching. This is Mustard Ketchup Mayo 1000, and goodbye.